Okay, so last week we had that cracking fight on paper between Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, which ended in such controversial fashion. And this week we have another cracking fight on paper, which I hope is going to enliven us and is not going to be so controversial. This is Leigh against Michael Conlon. This is Saturday, the 12th of March at the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham, which is Leigh home ground, by the way. And this is for the WBA featherweight title, the regular featherweight title. In the confusing world of the WBA, Leo Santa Cruz holds the super featherweight title, so he's the real WBA champion. So this WBA regular title is really, in a way, a final eliminator to fight Leo Santa Cruz for the WBA super title. But anyway, Leigh and Michael Conlon, two really good pros. Maybe Conlon is the more exciting prospect of the two, slightly younger. But let's go through their records and their amateur records, which I think is relevant to this this contest, and see if we can get a prediction out at the end. So Leigh is 33 years old. He's had 27 fights, 25 wins. 15 of those wins come by way of KO. He turned pro in 2011. His real breakout win came very recently, and that was in July last year when he fought Kanzu. He was drafted as a late replacement, 11-4 underdog to fight Kanzu for this WBA regular featherweight title on one of the Matchroom fight camps, and produced an amazing display. I'd recently transferred to Ben Davidson. Under Ben Davidson, he really seems to have really blossomed, produced an amazing display against Kanzu to force a TKO stoppage, dominated the fight and forced a TKO stoppage in the 12th. So his stock, is riding really high. Michael Conlon, he's had 16 fights, 8 KOs and won them all. So an absolute amateur star, really seen as someone who's going to do big things in the sport, and coming through. And so now, he's got his shot. I mean, like I say, he's a Matchroom fighter. This is a Matchroom show, even though it's in Wood's home backyard. And Conlon is coming in. He's the bookie's favourite, he's coming in as the favourite. But if we also look down at the rankings, if you look at the BoxRec rankings, Wood, for example, is ranked at number 6. Conlon is ranked at number 19, just because Conlon has that. What we think he has that potential, but he hasn't really realised that potential. So this is really a coming out party for Conlon, really. Can he step up to Wood's level and do it? And the reason we say, we think about him so highly, and that he's going to be maybe able to do this in this big jump, is because of his amateur background. Now, Michael Conlon, boxed for Ireland and was ranked number 1 in the world at his weight. He won bronze in the 2012 Olympics. He won 2015 world gold. He in the 2016 Olympics, you may remember in Rio, he lost in the quarterfinals to the Russian. Was absolutely disgusted with the decision, which was outrageous. Famously flipped the finger to the judges and gave a rant to the TV cameras about the corruption in amateur boxing, and that he was fed up with it and he was walking away and turning pro. And funnily enough, he was kind of vindicated by that in later investigations into the judging process that was going on at the Olympics then, and has hopefully been cleaned up. But we shall see, because this is not a great time to talk about corruption and bad judging in boxing, because that's what's on what everybody's thinking about after last weekend. Conlon's an absolutely stellar amateur career. Conlon couldn't really have been better, beyond getting a gold at those 2016 games, which he was really shafted out of, like he said. So he had that stellar amateur career, and we're hoping that he can repeat that in the pros. Wood had a good amateur career as well. He was an England rep a number of times, but it wasn't in the league of Conlon. It was very good, but it wasn't in the league of Conlon. As a pro, Conlon has kind of been fast-tracked. I mean, it was interesting, comparing their records on BoxRec. Wood has been British champion and obviously, got this WBA regular title now. He's got two losses on his record, came to good guys, but good guys domestically. I mean, Jazza Dickens and Gavin McDonnell, where those 2 defeats came. And, he wasn't seen as someone that was really particularly going somewhere, like I say, until he's had this great breakout win, teamed up with Ben Davidson, which seems to have made a big difference to him. But other than that, maybe he wasn't seen as particularly going anywhere. I mean, and this is one thing that Wood holds against Conlon, or says he holds against him, that Wood had it hard. Like you say, he turned pro without a major title, without a major national title. And so he had to work hard in the 4-rounders and all that sort of thing. Come up slow, not make a lot of money. Obviously, Conlon was the golden boy, signed on with Matchroom straight away, got a big signing on bonus, and has kind of been brought through, in these fights ever since, and is seen as, someone who's always got this potential to step up and win a world title. And so, Wood thinks like he's been down the hard road. Like, he's come in as a big underdog before. He's had 50-50 fights. He's come in as an 11-4 underdog, as I said, against Kanzu, and he's saying that Conlon has never had this before. Conlon has always been favoured. He's come in and he's never been in a 50-50 fight before, which Wood feels he's in now. And it's like, saying, well, how will he deal with that, and how will he deal with the vociferous crowd? They're going to be hugely behind him in Nottingham. Conlon's counter to that is, I've travelled all over the world. You know, I've boxed in everybody's backyard all over the world as an amateur, you know, endured countless, you know, hostile crowds and generally come out the winner. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Looking on Wood's record though, one of the interesting things you'll see is out of those 27 fights, 14 of those fighters had losing records. Conlon has never fought a fighter with a losing record. You know, he's been jumped up a little bit faster, although he hasn't got to the level that Wood has boxed at. So really, you know, looking at this, like I say, another interesting subplot to this is the trainers, because like I say, since Wood went over to Ben Davidson, you know, quite recently in his career, he has blossomed. He has had that breakout victory against Kanzu, and you know, Conlon has been with Adam Booth throughout his pro career and is doing very well. So obviously, you know, there seems to be a little bit more underlying this trainer thing since Davidson's comments, which he explained very well, I must say. Although we talked about him before, you know, the other English trainers are lazy. He did contextualise those very well in subsequent interviews, but people take that out of context. But you know, it is going to be interesting seeing now he's coming in really as the underdog with the underdog fighter, how he gets on. You know, because obviously, as we've said, you know, when you go in with Josh Taylor, when you go in with Tyson Fury, you are probably going to win as the trainer. So that's going to be an interesting subplot to that. You know, how Booth is going to plot against Davidson to win this. But they both, I mean, I do think it's going to be an exciting fight. Both fighters like to mix it up. You know, both fighters can bang. You know, really, you've got a favourite. You've got to think really Conlon is going to use his speed, try and, you know, outwork Wood, use the ring. I presume it'll be a larger ring with it being a matchroom show, because that would, I think, favour him. Wood's going to try and close it down like he did with Kanzu. You know, he's a strong, heavy hitting guy. So, you know, but if we look at the bookies odds, Wood is 7-5, and Conlon is 8-15, and the draw is 20-1. You know, so everybody is kind of seeing this, you know, and making Wood the underdog and seeing Conlon as the guy that comes through. But you know, I've got to say, Conlon hasn't stepped up yet. It's whether he can step up, whether he can replicate what he's done in the amateurs in the pros. You know, the feeling is that he probably can, and that his style is suited to that type of thing. But Wood is a tough guy, and as he says, you know, he's come up the hard way. You know, he's never really had the breaks until he got that one shot at it against Kanzu, and my God, he grabbed that with both hands. Also, you know, against Ben Davidson, don't forget, you know, these guys are going to be coming to win. There's going to be a vociferous support of that Nottingham Arena for Leigh Wood. You know, I mean, you know, thinking back to the great, you know, Carl Froch fight in there, and you know, there's been some great boxing nights there, and the crowd do have a big influence on that. So, you know, and I think Wood is focused on beating Conlon, you know, and really proving that he can do it, and seeing someone he's fighting someone he sees as all has golden spoon in his mouth. My personal take is I think Conlon is the real deal. You know, I think he's going to do this. I think he's going to put on a bit of a masterclass. I don't think he's going to stop Wood, but I think he's going to win on points. In a way, you know, Conlon, having been shafted by the judges in 2016, even said last week, I'm almost glad that there was such a judging controversy last week, because all eyes will be on the judges this week to make sure they score that fight correctly. And I think Conlon is going to, you know, move, is going to outbox. I think Wood's going to have his moments, but I think this is going to be Conlon's fight. I predict him to win on a unanimous decision. You know, I just think, you know, I'd like to believe in Wood's fairy tale continues, but I'm going for this one with Conlon. But I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think it's going to be a fairly close fight. I just think the class of Conlon is going to tell, particularly in the later round. So that's my prediction, but it's another great fight. And, you know, in a way, it's a shame to go into a fight like this thinking, I just hope the judges get it right. But, you know, this has got to be sorted out in boxing, and I'm sure this week they will, because all eyes will be on them to see that. So, you know, a great fight in Nottingham. Really looking forward to the weekend. Let's see it.